Stephen, I got a breaking story I want to quickly get out and then ask your reaction to just what's going on in Orlando. Police are searching for a 2-year-old boy attacked by an alligator and then dragged away at a Disney hotel near Orlando. Unbelievable. Steve, this is the third tragedy in Orlando in a week.
Well, it is, and these things tend to cluster. And by the way, I think it was in the vicinity of the Grand Floridian. But if you look at the events that are happening, it's like evil is increasing. And God bless that little boy, but I doubt they'll find him alive. And the thing that is excruciatingly painful right now is it's one thing to deal with normal evil. I mean, obviously murders and all the things that have been in our, if you will, our immediate history. But as your guest said, there's something going on where people enjoy, actually you're the one that said it, enjoy this, and you're afraid that more and more people are watching this. We are being programmed for such great evil, the slaughter of people, men, women, and children, being burned alive, being tortured, being thrown off buildings, beheaded, having their extremities cut off, women being raped to death. All these images now are on the internet, and there's a perverted, and I will say this, demonic delight in people that I believe are truly demon-possessed that absolutely enjoy this sort of thing. And it's no longer a Saw movie on TV. It's no longer The Hills Have Eyes. The reality, George, is that when you turn on Matt Drudge's, or forgive me, on your computer, you go to Matt Drudge's The Drudge Report, and one day there are 4 different events of people demon-possessed, or close to 100 kids in Peru, and all of these strange things happening, and all the blood and gore all over the floor. It becomes obvious that things have changed. And when you're dealing with a disembodied spirit, most people, and I want to make a real simple, I guess you'd say, illustration for people. The fallen angels, the fallen one, the Pentagon even acknowledges as the gods of the Anunnaki. That's what obviously Zechariah Sitchin, but they call them, the Pentagon calls them the gods of the Sumerians. And all of the Sumerian gods and the stele and the, if you will, the inscribed stone, whether you see a king who's sitting on a stone and normal-sized people who are bringing him that come up to his knee, the gods of the Sumerians, quote-unquote, from Pentagon sources that have talked to me said they are returning. The Vatican says they are returning. The Native American says they are coming back. And people forget, Jesus said that the gates of hell will not prevail, and he also said just as in the days of Noah. So, it's astonishing to me that all these events being put into context are out of the realm of most people's ability to grasp it. It's one thing even to grasp it intellectually, but it's overwhelming to deal with it emotionally. And back to Antarctica, a general contacted a friend of mine. He, obviously can't talk to me for reasons of whoever listens in on everything, and everybody listens in on everything. But he said in Antarctica, he said some of the tunnels are so big that they're 4 football fields in width and, several hundred feet high. Now, why do you need tunnels that big? And he also said the strange sounds. They're monitoring sounds that they've never heard before. And when they put them on their oscilloscopes to try and get a waveform for them, they're literally out of bounds, and when they do find them, there's nothing to compare to. So I believe the whole Earth is convulsing. As I said, 32 active volcanoes, and on Volcano World or Volcano Watch, I posted an article on my website today, and I counted them, George, 132 of the world's most dangerous, deadly volcanoes. And for the record, two of the biggest ones were in Indonesia. That's where the last Banda Aceh earthquake happened with the tidal wave. So the natives are restless. And I don't mean that in a Native American way. I'm meaning people are coming unglued. And the Native Americans are the only ones as a large group of body that really, I think, understand the full effect of what's getting ready to happen. And even more so, that's literally taking place now.
Stephen, let's talk a little bit about the trumpets, and then we're going to get into some current events with this strange twist that's happening on this planet. But people are reporting hearing sounds, whether they're loud hums or trumpet sounds. What does that mean revelation-wise? What do the trumpets mean?
Well, the trumpets are a heavenly sign of specific judgments that are befalling the earth. And there are people that are trying to say they're foghorns, but most people that listen to them, even when they're in a wilderness, for instance, some of the ones that are coming from the Ukraine and Siberia and different places around the world, they're so unnerving. Again, they're in a frequency range that most people haven't heard before, and when it's an atmospheric sound, for instance, when an asteroid comes into the Earth's atmosphere, depending on the size, the velocity, it can break the sound barrier, and we're seeing more and more sounds associated with the heavens. Now, getting back to the trumpets, you have the seven seals that are open in the book of Revelation. Each seal that's open indicates a worsening condition on the earth. It's like the four horsemen aren't just, pacing now. They're on a gallop.
Yes.
And then you have the issue of how does sound affect matter? We all grew up in television time where they would show the Memorex tape commercial where they'd hit a wine glass with a certain frequency, and it was either Memorex or TDK, one of the...
And it would shatter, right?
It would shatter, right. Well, that's what's happening in this sound realm, too. It's having an effect on nature. And for the record, Tesla was one who not only experimented with, high fields of electricity, geomagnetism, but sound was very important. A laser is light amplification, simulated emission of radiation, and a maser is microwave. But even more than that, if you notice what's happening even with supposedly non-lethal weapons by the military and using them, LIDAR and some of the different, what would you say, like radar-style weapons, they change people. They're absolutely frying them. And I want to share something about the giants. In ancient history, and this is what my concerns are, okay? In ancient history, the voice of the giants had an effect similar to what a lion, when a lion roars in the jungle, anyone who's ever heard a real lion roar in real time, it has an effect on everything. It's almost like everything becomes, quote, paralyzed with fear. And the shrill voice of the giants in antiquity not only was able to put fear, but it was also able somehow to overcome gravity by the sonic effect of the air motion. And this is fascinating because we see all these huge rocks. In our new video series, the second one's coming out by the end of the month, called True Legends, the series, The Unholy Sea. We go into all of the major places in the world, like Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo in South America, then over to Malta and Sardinia, and there's so many indications, George, these giant boulders in the Rock of the Pregnant Stone. Some of these things are so big that they defy description. And when you think you see the big ones on top of the surface, you only need to go you need to dig deeper to find the bigger ones. So the sound effects that are taking place around the world, I believe there are physical reasons for it. For instance, when Mount Tambora exploded in 1815 in Indonesia, the sound was heard all the way to Hawaii. Now, that's obviously, you can explain that by physics. But some of these strange sounds that are literally outside the realm of the normal instrumentation to define it, they have to have an origin outside of the normal parameters of normal physics. In that world, it's called the black world, ultra black world, and it's black physics. Black physics simply means there is a level of science that is not known to the general public and is only made known into the initiates, I think that's the right word, initiates of the people that join the different societies. And the thing that with the secret societies always comes the secret knowledge, the forbidden knowledge, the hidden knowledge. And you've had Michael Cramo on your show
many
before.
times. Yeah.
Yep, and the thing is that I love his title, Forbidden Archaeology. You know, the thing is that the ancients knew how to move stones using sound, and now we've got the situation with, again, we've got beings, entities that have been used to living in a different dimension coming into our dimension. And literally, I think it's obvious to see that people are freaking out, they're creeping out, and pretty soon we're going to see men's hearts failing them for those things coming up on the earth. And what's astonishing, and people better get used to it, when something so beyond your normal realm of being able to cope and define takes place, it is probably the most emotionally, but more importantly, the most mentally destabilizing event in a person's history. I'll give you a good example. When black, and again, I'm talking about secret world of science, physics, and things that go bump in the night, I had a general tell me personally, he said this, he said, the things, I have men who are considered the toughest, most dangerous men in the world, but some of them have literally dropped dead in their tracks. I've said this on different radio shows, but they've literally turned white instantaneously. You've heard the old idiom, they were turned, white as a ghost. Well, if you look at the fascination now that mankind has, first in science fiction movies, obviously it started in the world of writing, you cannot separate ancient history, and you cannot separate myths and legends, and even the definition of those different creatures and those different events, for sounds, for instance, lights in the sky, you can't separate them from now what people are reporting all over the world. And the gates are opening, and the Native Americans who contact me are talking about a phenomenon that their forefathers talked to them about, taught them about, and now they're actually experiencing it for themselves.